I'm here with Patrick Byrne, and he has given a talk here. I'm going to have to say,
Sure.
Overstock.com is your company, and but we don't want to interview him about that. We just would like to know his philosophic views. So, because you have a doctorate in philosophy, right? And so, my first question would be, do you think two contradictory conclusions can both be true?
Oh, the excluded middle. I know where you're from. No, I do not think two contradictory assertions can both be true.
Right. And that would be because you believe in the law of identity. Things are what they are, right?
Oh, yes, we have a Randian. Yeah, I don't think that you sound very. Yes, I think two contradictory things are generally are can't be true.
Generally or always?
Well, if you get into quantum mechanics, they can be. So if we're talking about the normal Newtonian world that we live in, no, two contradictory things are not true. But I don't think everything's black and white, as as Ayn Rand would have thought as well.
Well, I agree everything isn't black and white. There's green and there's gray and there's red, but that doesn't mean that there isn't black and there is white, right?
Correct.
So, do you think sometimes two contradictory conclusions can both be true?
Well, and again, in the world of science and nuclear and quantum mechanics, these sort of Aristotelian understanding of the world it doesn't map onto. There are things are not as binary as at the quantum mechanic level as they are in the world of Newtonian physics. But why? What's your point? I'm afraid I do have to get moving. What's your
Well,
then we're going to debate
well,
epistemology, or I mean
well,
metaphysics.
so do you believe in the law of excluded middle or you don't?
Uh, do you have a third choice? No, I don't. Well, I put it this way. I know that when people make those arguments to me uh, in actual circumstances, and they tend to have more binary a view of the world than I carry with me. But what's your point?
Well, I'm wondering because initially you said that you thought two contradictory conclusions couldn't both be true, and now you're arguing that they can.
Well, uh, okay, I'll retreat to quantum mechanics. There are, in quantum mechanics, it is the case that there are states where there are situations which are neither one way or the other.
Well, there are situations we can't explain, but that's no reason to conclude that we know that something can be and not be. That's a whole different ballgame. I mean, can you go from I don't understand why this data shows this in quantum mechanics to this data proves that the law of identity doesn't hold in all of reality. I mean, I think those are two different assertions, and you can't derive one from the other.
Okay, actually, in quantum mechanics, it isn't just about this data is inconclusive. It is as simple as you can create situations like the famous Schrodinger's cat, that where suppose you had a radioactive particle that in the next minute had a 50-50 chance of decaying. You put it in a box, seal it up with a cat. You put in this device that if it decays, it releases some cyanide in the box, and the cat dies. If it doesn't decay, it doesn't. Now, 2 minutes have passed. Is the cat alive or not alive? You would say it's got to be one or the other. It's either alive or it's not alive. By the quantum mechanics interpretation of the world, there is no it's neither until it's actually been observed. There is no it does not have an independent state of truth or falsity and without the interaction of consciousness and the observation. So to me, Ayn Rand sort of I like some of what Ayn Rand has to say, but let me tell you, it's based on a whole bunch of quaint 19th century. Her worldview does not incorporate 20th century advancements in science, just in terms of her basic metaphysics. Now that doesn't mean that other things she said weren't good, but this Aristotelian way of approaching the world, didn't ever speak to me, and I felt it was inconsistent with 20th century science, in particular quantum mechanics.
Are you a physicist?
I did a lot of training as a physicist, yes.
But do you have a degree in physics and quantum mechanics?
No, I did have a degree in philosophy, but I did do a graduate course in physics.
Right. Well, every physicist that I've talked to says that this whole idea that quantum mechanics proves that the law of identity isn't true is bogus. So, isn't it, as a philosopher and a student of philosophy, isn't it better to stick to the world we know and examples in the world we know, as opposed to go into a field which you and me really don't know quantum mechanics, do we?
There was a time I knew it pretty well.
Well,
But 30 years ago. But I don't know. This has been a fascinating interview. I think that we're going to talk about the philosophy of science more.
Well, I thought
I have to get going. Thank you. Julie?